Welcome to the Think Generational Wealth Podcast, episode 25, with your host, Amir Estimo. In today's episode, we have an outstanding episode for you today, as I will be interviewing a good friend of mine, Leon Lordeus, who will share his experience from IT employee to now IT entrepreneur. Leon owns his own company called Over Consulting, which is a small IT firm which does consulting for small to medium businesses. Stick around for the end of the episode as I will share my contacts with you. Again, this is a great episode, especially for someone who wants to go from being a 9-to-5 employee to now an entrepreneur. Leon will talk a lot about mindset. He'll talk about even just, the grind, the hustle it takes to be an entrepreneur. So thank you very much for listening to this episode. You could be doing anything in the world, and the fact that you're taking the time to listen to this episode is much appreciated. So thank you very much. And now jump right into the episode with Leon Lordeus. All right, bro.
All right. What's going on?
Hi, Leon, man. Thank you very much, man, for coming on the show today. Really do appreciate it. So, this is a good friend of mine. We basically grew up together in a little town called Fort Myers, Florida. And now we're both in Texas. He's in Houston. I'm in Dallas. Go Cowboys.
Hey, Hobbs, let's go, boys.
Yeah.
I know I'm in Houston, but I'm still a boys fan.
Yeah. So he's an entrepreneur. I've always known Leon as an entrepreneur. Actually, he started. I remember back in the days. We'll probably touch back in that. What drove him to get to where he is now? He's the founder of Over Consulting, right?
That is correct.
Yes, and where they specialize in IT management for small to medium business owners, so they can focus on their business.
Precisely.
And he currently has actually a health product, right? That's online, so we can probably dive in that too. So, everybody, welcome to the show, Leon Lordeus.
Thank you for having me, guys. How you guys doing?
Doing great.
Thank you, Amir, for having me. It's been a pleasure, brother. You looking good over there. Texas treating you well.
Yeah, I can't lie. It's quarantine.
Yes. A quarantine look. Looking good.
Yeah. But yeah, it was good to have you, bro. So anyway, you, like I said, I've always known you as an entrepreneur. So we actually were about to have a conversation about, as far as, you made a comment, it doesn't matter how much money you make as an employee, and you will never be rich working for someone else. So can you just, yeah. So, and I always known you as a guy with the mindset, different thinking. It's always you're always asking questions, which is good, right? So yeah, brother. So go ahead.
So yeah, I always like to do my own thing. That was always my thing. Even when I had a job, my objective was always to find a way to make my tasks more efficient and always more overall bigger picture focus. So I've never really focused on whether the job was difficult or easy. I always want to see, okay, what value am I going to bring to the business? And what I find over the years of working for people is you always have a boss, and most unfortunately, sometimes your boss don't think that way. Your boss just want to make his money and go home and sleep and hang out.
Yep.
And I'm more the person where I take work home a lot. When I had a job, I would work from I would go to work. I'd be at the office from 6:30 in the morning before everybody gets there, so I can start my day with no interruption. And then I'd work till about 4 or 5 o'clock. And then I'd go home, go to the gym. After the gym, I come home, eat, and then go back and work till about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes.
Yeah.
So, and I remember a time I was working for this company, and we were working on a really big project, and I was the lead in the project, and I had one of those days where I went to work at like 6 in the morning, and I work all day, and then I was working with a team of developers in India, and then we're a different schedule.
Yeah.
And I went to work, and then I came home. I went to the gym. I just my usual routine, and around 9 o'clock. I forgot. I think I was watching Seinfeld. I'm a big Seinfeld fan. Seinfeld was on, so I stopped working to watch Seinfeld. And my phone was blowing up with alerts. And then, the developers over there crashed the server and a production server. And I guess they overwrite the codes on the server. And they called me, so I had to be on the phone with them. And I was on the phone with them until like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning.
Oh,
so mind you, I'm supposed to go to work at my schedule is from 8 to 5, but I would go to work 2 hours early, just so I can get more work done and when there's no interruption. Well, I didn't get to work till 10 o'clock that day, right? And my boss was upset, like you late for work. Okay. And I remember how angry it made me. Let me use modern terms. How triggered I was. I was extremely triggered by him being upset with me being late 2 hours. Well, supposedly late. I'm like, hey man, I've been working since 9 p.m. yesterday. So yeah, I've logged close to 19 hours of work.
Yeah.
In 24 hours, and you giving me shit about coming to work 2 hours late. Yeah. That was the last straw for me. That's when I realized, it doesn't matter how much work you do. If your manager is not skilled enough, if your manager doesn't recognize your value, you typically have to go over their heads, and which typically create a lot of politics. So, and you never really get the satisfaction you want. And I'm not saying having a job is something wrong with it. If that's what you want, if having a job is okay with you, just going to work and saving for 401k and have somebody tell you when to get paid, when to take a vacation. If that's the life you want, it's fine. I mean, a lot of people do that and are content with it. But I know a lot of people who's not very happy with it. So I think this message is for the people who's not happy with it. I'll say jump. Jump into entrepreneurship.
Yeah. So when you made that switch from becoming an employee to entrepreneurship, like how long did it take you to kind of, get into that groove? Were you just
It took me some time. The reason it took me some time is at first I fought it. I didn't understand it. I fought it for a while. I fought it. Remember the first time after college, I was working for a very large bank, and I was in charge of an acquisition. I was in charge of a system integration for an acquisition they were doing with another large bank.
Okay.
And after that project, I remember working on that project as an employee, of course. And I had a trip planned, and then I had booked it, everything. It was a guy's trip, and I had to cancel the trip because they needed me to go train. It was not an emergency. It was just my boss felt like we needed to do it right now. So I had to cancel my trip. So that first time I quit, but I quit my job after a while after that because I was not happy, but I didn't understand it fairly. So I went home and I got into real estate. I just got another job. And then after that, when I realized I wasn't getting enough money in that job, I was just chasing the money. That's what I was doing. I realized I wasn't making enough money doing this, and I was tired of where I didn't like where I was. I moved, and I didn't like where I was. I moved back to Texas. I moved out of Texas, and I moved back to Texas, and I went and got another job. Mm-hmm. And I was happy. You when you were a young man, I was in my early 20s and making a lot of money, and I'm learning a lot, which is very important when you're in a company. You have to be learning. If you're not learning, you shouldn't be there. Because So I took advantage of those learning experiences. One of my mentors telling me, hey man, you're getting paid to learn. So learn. A job is think of a job as your university.
Okay.
And as your lab. I look at it as a lab. And if you're in technology, you'll understand this, because building labs in technology is how you learn the best, the fastest. And the labs are very expensive. So if you work for a company, you can build $100,000 lab. Well, you don't have $100,000 at home to build a lab. So it's a different learning curve when you have access to the information that you need to really learn and study what you're trying to do. So I moved back to Texas and I started working again for a company, and it just built my career, just learning and changing jobs. But I always in my mind, I always knew one of these days I don't want to work for anybody. I want to do my own thing. So when I quit my job after my boss was upset with me for being late, I didn't go directly into entrepreneurship. I just wanted to be self-employed. I went into self-employed. I didn't understand the difference at the time. I just became a consultant. I was like, I'll just be a consultant. I work on projects when I want.
Yeah.
And I can handpick my projects, and then they're temporarily, so they can't complain about me. I can work as fast as I want and get everything done. So if I work 16 hours, I get paid for the whole 16 hours. Versus when I had a job working for a company, I'm being paid salary. Now I have billable hours. I can get paid. So I started just doing billable hour work, and I worked for a lot of large firms, did a lot of large projects. And you realize the value you were adding to these businesses, how long projects were taking when they didn't have to take that long. But when you work for a consulting firm, they all focus on billable hours. They don't want to bill a client as much as they want and as much as they can. And I remember working for this client. They were a smaller company, and the project cost them so much more than it should have. I almost bankrupted them to pay us.
Okay.
And then that's when I decided to start my own company. And I noticed the market that was suffering the most was the small business segment, because they don't have a large IT department. They usually have like one or two IT person on staff. Those IT guys usually handling multiple roles and responsibilities. They overwork. So they need staff augmentation. So they need somebody to come in and kind of help them simplify things. They have usually the IT personnel is doing so much time supporting their client. They don't have time to learn new technology. Yeah. They don't have time to mitigate risk. They don't have time to even work on projects. So it's kind of like burning the candle on both ends. They're too busy to work because they're too busy on support calls. They're having support calls because the infrastructure is not sound. The infrastructure is not sound because they don't have time to work on the infrastructure. So they burn candle on both ends. It's like the gift and the curse. I don't know what's the term to use there, but they're stuck in a situation. It's a lose-lose situation for them. Usually they overwork. You meet administrators, network administrators, system administrators, desktop guys. They usually overwork and underappreciated for the most part, because people don't realize how much work they have to do and how much after-hour work they have to do. So when I realized that was a need in the market, and then so we decided, my partner at the time, we decided to launch a company, and we launched Innova Consulting, and we service those small businesses. And we created all types of services from help them leverage their technology, help them align their business strategy with their IT. A lot of them don't even have a budget. Work on their budget with them. Work on business continuity. Work on disaster recovery. Work on security, risk mitigation, user management. Automation, which is very important for a small business. The less human interaction that requires in a small business, the more profitable, of course. So that's kind of what we focus on.
Man, that's pretty cool. And where you find, I think Jim Rohn says that you get paid based off how much value you bring to the marketplace. So it was good to see through your experience. And then you mentioned something at a job you get paid to learn. Even going to college, doing all this work, but you don't actually get your true experience when you're actually learning at a job. So that was interesting that you said there, and like you didn't double down on it, or you didn't talk bad about as far as someone having a job.
Correct.
And I think that's where a lot, like entrepreneurs, when they switching from employee to an entrepreneur, they usually, we were all at one point. It's, we all have different paths to get to where we get to, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but that was interesting how you said that, just that you were pretty open about it, and then you going through all these projects, and then you see the value, and then boom, through that you started your own company. That's pretty.
Yeah, it's what I've realized is a lot of entrepreneurs suffer from a lot of job PTSDs. Like a lot of traumatic stress from their job. So my approach to job was always, I'm going to learn here. So unfortunately, I was the best worst employee, I would say. As far as depends on how you look at it. If you're looking for an employee who's going to be there forever, I'm not that guy.
Okay.
I'm not that guy. But if you're looking for somebody to come in and bring immediate value to a business, yes, I'm that guy. If you're looking for somebody who's going to be reliable, who's going to work every day, focused, I'm that guy. So that's when I realized I should have I needed to go into consulting, because when my mentor was talking to me, he's like, Leon, you just need to go into consulting, man. Then you can do as many projects as you want. And then you need to change the scenery a lot. And that's kind of what I did. I just went into projects and they consulting, and then I just hop around, and I was able to be exposed to a lot of environment and different things. And you realize that's how I was able to identify that need in the small business sector. Because, look at all these businesses. Look at all these owners working every day on their businesses, and they're overwhelmed with the technology. And as the business grows, the more of the technology stack has to be, the more sophisticated the technology stack has become. We have clients where they've overwhelmed just by vendor, and just how many vendors they have, and we'll review their vendor agreements and contracts and save them thousands of dollars a month just on things that they forgot to manage, and then things that they forgot to cancel, or contracts they forgot to renew, so they've been paying month to month and for things like that. So you're able to save them a lot of cost. There's a lot of cost saving in just reviewing a business's service agreements with all their vendors.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's and I think that's where a lot of small businesses get left behind.
Absolutely.
And it's they don't have access to capital as some of these big corporations have, and so if you can find that niche, and with the experience that you have, you find that niche, which is you see that that value brought to them. Like as far as your mindset, how did it take you a while, or as far as your mindset? I mean, because I know being an entrepreneur, you're gonna have your ups and downs, right? Have you ever thought about, man, I'm going back to a job?
Yeah. So the mindset is kind of I have an unorthodox way of looking at the mindset. I associate pain to things that I don't like.
Oh, okay.
So I associate pain to having a job. So I instantly feel anxiety if I would even think about getting a job. I get anxiety. I remember, I'll give you a perfect example. I remember in my 20s, I was afraid of commitment. I couldn't imagine. I had all my friends. You remember, all our friends was getting married.
Yeah.
and I wouldn't even come near. I wouldn't even ever consider it. And what I realized was, even when my friends were talking about getting married, my palms would start sweating. I would be at my friend's wedding and my palm would sweat. So I had associated marriage to pain.
Okay.
And it brought me great discomfort. So it would prevent me from getting married for the longest, right? So it's the same thing with jobs. A job, when I think about getting a job, I feel a level of anxiety. Even when I'm going through ups and downs, I always feel like, you know what? Even when I don't have a dime, I was going, you know what? That's still better than getting a job.
Oh man,
it is to me.
Yeah.
It is to me. Not that I have a problem with job. Now, the only way I would consider getting a job ever is let's say, for example, there's a new technology coming out that I know nothing about, and I find that would never happen, and somebody willing to give me a job so I can come in and learn it. I would learn it, because now what I do, I would call somebody who has it. I have colleagues who have a technology stack that I want to get to understand of it. I'll go to their office and I'll sit with them, and I'll do some work for them for free. Mm-hmm. I guess you can consider that a job, right? Internship, but I'm not being paid for it. But like I tell people, if you're gonna have a job, make it count. I call jobs life university, right? Entrepreneurship university, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. So the mindset is to always want to learn and understand the importance of not trading time for money. As an entrepreneur, it's very important to always analyze, okay, is this worth learning or not? That's how you approach things in your business. Is this learning? How much would I save? How much money would I make if I learned this versus outsourcing it? And never outsource your core business, obviously. Whatever your core business is, you don't. So like we're not gonna outsource designing your infrastructure. We're not gonna outsource building your infrastructure. But if we don't know how to build applications, so we would outsource building application. Because what's the value of us building application? How long will it take for us to learn building applications? And so forth. That's how we assess the things. Okay, how much time will it take? How many of these clients we're going to have who wants to build applications? So that's how you approach entrepreneurship. And that's the difference a lot of time with self-employment. People who self-employed, they want to do everything themselves. Then you have a business where you're stuck in it, and then it feels like a job because now you're stuck in it. So your approach to the mindset as an entrepreneur is always learning, always appreciate your time, which is the most valuable thing you have. Appreciate your time, because if you have time, you can build whatever you want. You can build whatever success you want if you have time. But if you don't have any time, then you have a job, like we talked about, then you're miserable, you're unfulfilled, and it's just a slippery slope from there. So manage your time, value your time, and always think about how much money something will cost you to learn versus outsource. That's important. And very important, because I'll give you an example. Websites. I have clients who need websites all the time, and we didn't know how to build websites, and we had nobody in my team wanted to learn how to build websites. So like, okay, we don't. So we outsourced the website. Okay. So now we're starting getting so much website requests. I spin up a new company just to build websites, and I find a partner who's a marketing director for one of the large marketing firms, and then we spin up a company. Now we're building websites for our clients. So that's that's how you do it. So I was able to do that because I'm not working full time I'm not working in my business. I work on my business.
Your business. Okay.
Correct. So it's a big difference. Working in your business versus working on your business. When you know how to monetize your time properly, you'll have plenty of time to work on your business versus in your business. I had a guy tell me one time, and you probably hear this, right? I'd rather get 1% of 100 than get 100% of 0. So for me, I'd rather focus on working on the business and bringing business to my team, so they can have money, so they can work and they can make money, and I just get a piece of the pie. That's how I look at it.
Awesome, man. It reminds me of what's his name? Robert Kiyosaki has a book. I think he talked about it more in cash flow quadrant, where he was talking about as far as working on your business, but not in your business. Now, how big is your team?
My team varies based on projects.
Okay.
Sometimes my team could be a group of 5 people working internally. This is my internal team, 5 people. And then If I have, depending on the projects, I'll have 20 people, 25 people, 30 people, 50 people, right? Before COVID, I had 70 people working on 4 projects before COVID. So it all depends on the projects that we have. But I keep a lean team. I keep my team very lean. I do hire a lot of consultants, contractors. I call them consultants, but most people call them contractors but our contractors have a value adder focus. That's kind of the people we like to work with, because that's the type of business we are. We're more interested on what kind of value we can add. If we can't add value, we're not going to take the project. If we can have value, we're not going to take on the client. We'll recommend another person. Because we find it, what I find in my experience is this is one thing I've learned the hard way. And, as an entrepreneur, when you first started, you want to get as many clients as you want. And I always tell people, be focused. Be very focused on who you work with. Be very particular. Think about it as courting, as dating. You don't just date any woman or man you see. You kind of be choosy. So be choosy. The reason you don't date any man or woman you see, because some of them somebody's going to be a trouble. They're going to give you a lot of headache. They're going to stress you out. The relationship's not going to worth your time.
Yeah.
So what I found out is that 80-20 rule that you always hear about, right? You ever heard the 80-20 rule, where 80% of the work is done by 20% of the people?
People, yep.
Right. Well, and I had a colleague who said, well, I think it's 90-10. 90% of the work is done by 10% of the people. Well, I find that to be applied to a lot of aspects of entrepreneurship. I find that 80% of my revenue is from 20% of my clients. And 80% of my headache is from the other side. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I found that's what I found. I found that, so be more choosy. So sometimes I've fired clients because they were such a headache, and it wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth the time. You weren't adding value. When you feel you're not adding value, it's time to move on. And in my business, you wanna always keep, because bad news travel fast.
Yeah.
So you don't wanna dissatisfy your customer, because once your customers are satisfied, they gotta let the whole world know you're dissatisfied. And so if you don't feel like you're bringing value, don't be shy to say, you know what, I don't think we're working out, and walk away from it. And that gives you more time to focus on your business. Because what bad clients tend to do is make you focus in your business a lot more. So that's one of the biggest lessons that I've learned so far. And also another thing I would say is be more focused on. Let me not say be more focused. Let's find a different word. Be stubborn in your strategy. If your strategy is sound, almost be stubborn. You're going to get a lot of pushback on your strategy. So just make sure you do your homework on your strategy. Be confident on what you're presenting. Be confident in your strategy. Be confident in your market. And to do that, that means you have to be well researched. And you have to be well researched. So be well researched. Always wanting to learn as an entrepreneur. And the more research you do, the more creative you'll get, and the more creative solutions you'll find. The more opportunities you'll find, the more research you are. So.
Yeah, pretty cool. So we talked about, so far what I got is, you talked about time, value, and now learn and be well researched. So those are the, to see you putting all that together, and then you talked about mindset, having anxiety going to the job. That's crazy, and you're not the first person that said that.
Yes, what I've learned is pain is the biggest motivator. There's something that I completely disagree with in this world. It's a very common thing people say. They go, well, ignorance is bliss. That's what they say. I don't agree. knowledge is blissful. I think ignorance is painful, because life has a way of punishing you for your ignorance. And to me, if you're getting punished for something, I don't see how it can be blissful. The blissfulness that I get from knowing something is true is better. It's kind of like if people that are religious, think about it. People who are religious, they say, I feel a sense of peace because I know God is with me. I sense a sense of peace because I know God is my savior, right?
Yeah.
Because they know for a fact. And I have a sense of peace because when I die, I go to heaven.
Yeah.
So they feel a sense of peace.
Peace, yeah, calmness.
Knowing what's going to happen. Well, if you have knowledge and information, you're almost like Nostradamus or something. You can predict the future. You become an industry expert. You can predict what's going to happen. So then there's that level of knowing, there's a level of bliss that knowing that I'm prepared for everything. I'm prepared for anything. And you can only be prepared if you learn and practice what you learn. That's the only way you can be prepared. It's like a basketball player, an athlete, right? The guy who's the best, he's always overconfident. Even when he missed a shot, he's like, yeah, I missed thousands of shots during practice. So me missing a shot during the game is not going to stop me from taking another shot.
Yeah.
And entrepreneurship, you gotta embrace failure. I forgot who it was I was reading who says he had a rule at his dinner table that the family get together. All they talk about it was, hey, what did you fail at today? What did you fail at today? What did you fail at? And I forgot who it was. I was reading. That's the thing. You read so much, and I'm really bad with names. But I read everything I see. I read everything I see. And I was like, so you talk about your failures. Embrace failure as an entrepreneur, because you're going to fail a lot. Believe it or not, you're going to fail a lot. If you remember my first business in Fort Myers, I failed. My second business failed. So business is going to fail, and a lot of time you just kind of they're ladders. You have to use them as a ladder. So fail, embrace failure, because you will fail, and the more you fail, the more calluses you develop. I call them life calluses, and you develop these calluses that make you tougher. It's kind of like lifting weights. You lift weights. That's starting a business. Then you soar. That's the sense of failure. You soar. Yeah. And then the next day you lift weights again. You lift heavier weights because you built calluses. You got stronger. So you're most likely not gonna fail. You're less likely to fail than your next venture, and you're just gonna keep getting better and better and better. But you heard some people start one business and they're successful. But those are rare, very rare.
Yeah, those are anomaly. I would not.
Those are flash in pans.
Yeah, I would not count on that, because there's definitely two sides to it. There's the grit. There's everything that everybody don't see what's below surface. Everybody see what's above surface and they think it's good and it's great, but it's really not. And so even what you're sharing is obviously someone who's been in the industry for a while, and now you're doing you have business, and you see both sides of it, and you can attest that it's not what it is. So when one of those fly-by-nights happen, you're like, no, it's not true. So
those are not. I mean, don't get me wrong. Have that mindset. Like you come in, you starting your business, it's going to succeed. All right. And I don't think anybody would start a business that they think is going to fail, right? That goes without saying. But have that mindset, it's going to succeed. But also create benchmarks, create things, what's the word I'm looking for here? Create certain testing measures. To say, what's the word I'm looking for? Sorry, guys. English is my third language. Create.
No, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
there's the benchmarks and the quotas.
Create certain
targets
and objectives, checkpoints, things that you can go back to and reevaluate. Journals, write in your journal, just like your personal life. If anybody's working on the professional self-development, you know how you write on your journal. things that you want, and then every day you write, and then you go back and revisit these things to see, okay, how well am I doing? So make sure you have all these checks and balances in your company. Processes. How do I measure success? And what's the time windows for that success? Because if you're not meeting those, you need to really reassess your strategy. Reassess your strategy if you're not meeting those goals. It's not like, don't blame any outside factor. Do not blame any outside factor. Like, for example, right now we're going through COVID, and I'd have to learn, okay, let's not blame the outside factor. Well, the outside factors are there. They're going to be there. COVID, worst case scenario. I think that's most entrepreneurs' worst case scenario happened during COVID, right? What happened if the whole world shut down? No one can go anywhere.
Yeah.
Right? And most people go like, well, there's nothing we can do about that. And that's true. You can do about it. But there are things you can do about what you do if that happens. There are things you can do. So you can go, well, what are my clients' needs now there's COVID? Right? Got to learn you got to pivot, right? What does my clients' needs are now? It changes. First, for example, in my field, in infrastructure and IT, first it was staff augmentation. There were projects. There were support, site visits, assessments, that kind of stuff. Well, now that this COVID, no one's going to the office anymore. So you don't need all this office space anymore, right? But people are working from home, so they need to be able to access their network. Well, is the network ready to have everybody accessing it from the outside? Because accessing the network from the inside and accessing the network from the outside is a totally different scenario. Well, is everybody able to access it from the outside? Well, are the clients' laptops secure? Is information being exchanged secure? Now, security have a higher priority now, right?
Yep.
Bandwidth has a higher priority now. Connection throughput has a higher priority now. So the client has new needs. So COVID did happen, but you could have just said, oh, COVID happened, the client's on. So now you have so you can start marketing those things, those products to customers. So, and all of the countries shut down, people are still working. Revenue's still being generated.
Oh yeah.
So don't let the media, don't let what you see on television dictate your emotion. Let what you see in television and stuff, use that tool as information to create new strategy. Because as a business owner, one of your best skills is the strategy development, creating strategies, developing a sound strategy that can work, and then that's flexible.
Man, that was pretty cool, man. Really, really thanks. Yeah. So like, and then what you just said as far as like COVID, and it gave you a chance to look at other needs. And you just named off three. That's important because even for me, I work from home. So, and it's important that we have the bandwidth to do our job, the security, so to see that you just didn't give up, you just thought of other ways, creative ways. And they say entrepreneurs, the brains are always your problem solvers, right?
That's what we are.
Problem solvers.
We find a problem, then we solve it.
So, and I know we don't have much time left, but I know you're into fitness. Talk about that a little bit.
Exactly. So I got into the fitness industry because of COVID, because clients weren't paying, and then I needed more revenue. As an entrepreneur, you just want more money all the time, right? You want to bring revenue wherever you can come. So I saw a need for, there's going to be a lot more people sitting at home, and people don't want to get that COVID-15, COVID-20, whatever you call it. I've seen people with COVID-60. And the fitness industry is a forever growing industry. Yep. So I decided to provide fitness apparels and equipments to people sitting at home who can work from home. Who's working from home, because boy, you working from home. I know there's a lot of people who's going to have a hard time transitioning back to an office.
Yeah, that's gonna be tough. Especially
tough for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I just went with the flow, just kind of identify a need. The fitness industry needed people needed more fitness apparel. People needed more workout equipment. People are working from home a lot. You can work anywhere, and there's a trend now where the ladies are wearing their fitness apparels every day. They call them athleisures.
Yeah.
You see a young lady out and she got full blown tights on her. You think she's going to the gym? She hasn't been to the gym in 6 years. But she have a closet filled with workout exercise. What's going on here? Why do you have all these leggings and crop tops? And you haven't worked out in years.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, so it's a trend now, and it's a fashion, it's a style now. So I was able to identify that, and I got into that market.
Where people can find this products?
Those products can be found at chiselfitness.com. We also have 5 links that we're working on right now. We'll talk about that offline. Something you should definitely get involved in.
Okay.
I'll show you that one when we get offline. We won't talk about it on the air. But yeah.
Yeah, cool. So chiselfitness.com. So all right, man, brother. So we're out of time here. I don't want to take up too much of your time. So appreciate you coming in here, dropping some knowledge, man.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, quick. I know you're an avid reader. What one book would you recommend?
Ooh, for entrepreneurs?
Yes.
I know a lot of people recommend the typical. So you guys hear all the typical, so I'm not going to talk about the typical ones. There's a book that I read called The Blue Ocean Strategy. I'm terrible with names. I'm gonna look up the author right here for you. That book to me as an entrepreneur is like gold.
Blue Ocean Strategy.
The Blue Ocean Strategy. Who wrote that book? God, I'm terrible with names.
Probably can find it on Amazon or something. So
yeah, it's like Chan Kim and Renee. I can't say her name. It's by Chan Kim.
Okay.
Great book. Chan Kim. Oh my God. So it's a Blue Ocean Strategy. It's pretty much talking about how to create an uncontested market. So if you think of an ocean, the ocean's full of sharks. The sharks are all your competitors.
Yep.
And sharks like blood. Well, wherever an industry is, I mean, that's the blood. So everybody see an industry, they all go in there and devour it, right? You see it. Okay, you see it. Remember in Fort Myers, everybody, after I started a promotional company, everybody had a promotion company.
Yeah, everybody said, yeah.
So you're a rapper, everybody's a rapper. You started a restaurant, everybody has a restaurant. See that blue ocean, there's no blue ocean. That ocean is filled with carcasses, dead businesses, successful businesses. So, but if you go to a blue ocean, there's no shark. There's no blood in that water. Right?
Yeah.
So then you in there first to market. I gave you an example. Bill Gates found Blue Ocean, Microsoft. What's his name? Steve Jobs created Blue Ocean with the iPod.
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos created a new ocean with the online bookstore that turns into the marketplace that we have now with Amazon, right?
Yeah.
So you create your blue ocean. If you can find your blue ocean, and that book will pretty much talk to you about how the importance of it and how the strategies that takes to find that out.
Okay, Blue Ocean. So I'll probably even download that too, man.
Yes, I highly recommend that book.
It's good to you have. When you're a avid reader and you can suggest books, we all know the common books, but this one is one I've never heard of, so that's good to know. Yeah. All right, brother. So thank you very much. Appreciate you bringing value to the show, man. Appreciate it.
Of course, brother.
What I can honestly say, not only this was, you sharing knowledge, but also for me, just seeing, your experience, you sharing your experience, so getting an idea, transitioning from being employed to an entrepreneur, and also you gotta have that why. The biggest one that stick out was to me from this was the fact that really when you said, man, you were getting anxiety, You know, because you associate that with pain. So, you know, and the fact that you're like, even if I was broke, it's better than having a job. You know, it just goes to show you that, you know, you got to have that strong why, because you're going to have downs. And the fact that when you brought up about COVID, you know, a lot of companies folding. You know, a lot of small businesses are struggling right now, and it's tough. You know, but see that you guys still have that grit, right?
That grit. Just be prepared for those bad times, man. When things are good, they never stay good. As an entrepreneur, you know that things are never in one state for long. So it's always good to be flexible, have a sound strategy, and then just roll with the punches like Muhammad Ali. You know, just roll with those punches, because there's gonna be a lot of punches, and just roll with the punches, and just be ready to pivot. But make sure you have the right benchmarks in place and the right measures in place to know when that time is to pivot. Because I had one of my mentors told me, he goes, Leon, you hiring people sometime, a lot of mistake, one of the biggest mistake entrepreneurs make is not knowing when to let things go. You're not gonna always hire the right person, but you gotta know when to fire the right person. And that's kind of a very important lesson that I learned. It's a very important lesson that I learned talking to him, and a lot of time we just get so caught up on the what's happening, and as entrepreneurs, we need to focus more on the why, and the how. You know, your team can focus on the what, but you focus on the how and the whys.
Yep. Yep. Cool, man. So thank you, bro. Appreciate it, and appreciate your time.
Thank you. You're doing a great job, brother. I love this. I love the podcast. I love the idea. I know you're gonna crush it. Anytime, any type of support you need, you let me know, man.
Yeah, no problem, man. Where can anybody find you?
Well, you can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me at innovaconsulting.com. Man. That's pretty much the only place that you can catch me on. Facebook. Sometime I'll check my Facebook.
Okay. All right, brother. Keep going. Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
All right, you too.
All right.
Thank you very much for listening to this episode. I hope you found some value in it, as I know Leon brought some real good value, and hopefully, you know, you could take this, what he talked about, and take it and go into action, and just don't give up. Go for your dreams. Go for what you want to do. Now, to contact me, my contact information. Also, don't forget, please subscribe to this podcast if you enjoy the content of this podcast. Also, don't forget to rate and review. If you're on Spotify or Apple, do not forget to rate and review. This helps get the podcast out there. Spread the word. Hopefully this is something that can move you, that can inspire you, that can motivate you to go for your dreams. And you can reach me at Instagram, AECEO0128. You can reach me at Facebook, Amir Estimo. We also have a Facebook group, Think Generational Wealth. Also, you can hit me up on LinkedIn, Amir Estimo. I don't really do much activities on Twitter, but you can hit me up on Twitter too at AECEO0128. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Again, don't forget to spread the word out. This is Think Generational Wealth. This is the podcast to move the previous generation and to advance the next generation, because that's what it's about, folks. It's about bettering the next generation as we move on. Thank you, and love, much love, positive vibe your way.